Mr. Gray says, have you been climbing much recently? Yeah, just once a week. I haven't really been bouldering much, but I actually had my best climb ever the week before last, where I went up a tier and actually managed to finish. I couldn't do them all in one go. I definitely couldn't like on-site them. They were all, but I was able to actually get up the next level of climb, kind of around like more of closer to like 20. In Australian rankings, which is really cool, dude. Yeah, still enjoying climbing. I didn't exercise yesterday, which is probably not a good idea. I think if there's one day when I needed an endorphin rush, yesterday was it. But all right, it's gonna be Dolan versus Mackintac, guys. So let's give you a very quick preview for this match. I very rarely do this. 55-40 MMR for Mackintac right now, and I think Dolan would probably be about 5'8". He has been 6K and 6K plus in the past, but I don't know like how peak Dolan's situation is right now. So we're gonna go, because this is a WCS qualifier, let's scratch the tip goal. Let's scratch the webcam. And I'm also just going to very quickly adjust some settings at the very start of this, just to make sure we're 100%. Let me just double check the settings before we get into it. We're going to put damaged health bars on so you guys can still see weak units. We're going to turn the music up. We're also going to turn off the RimWorld soundtrack, because that one's about to finish anyway. I've been really enjoying the RimWorld soundtrack lately, but let's also throw our observing hotkey layout on. We're going to get rid of the server information in the corner of the screen. And let's dive in. It is time for the WCS NA open bracket qualifiers, and two very unlucky players kicking into another high-ranked GM player in the very opening round. Up here in the top left, representing Psystorm Gaming, a Terran player opening already with a proxy barracks. It's Dolan! 3 SCVs going across the map. Absolutely cheesy, dirty boy. And the thing is, mixing these sort of plays in is often the best way to be a very dangerous Terran player. His opponent down here in the bottom right, opening up with a hatchery first, representing 1F Pro. It is Mackintac. Now Mackintac here, strong Zerg player going hatch gas pool. This is a very standard opening. You can defend this. Now notice, look at his Overlord paths. He is gonna find the barracks as the Marines are coming in. He'll notice these SCVs maybe coming from a weird direction as well. The sooner he realizes, the better. He's gonna need to pull drones to that low ground, or he could take a second gas, go Ravagers, and just kind of give up the expansion. But this is very committed. The tough thing here as a Zerg is even when you see Marines coming, if you don't see that third barracks, which you won't because it's in the back, and there's even a fourth, you might think it's just a 2 barracks, which hits hard initially, but has a gas behind it, goes into a factory, Hellions, has more of a transition. This version, at some point, they are going to pull most of their SCVs and just go completely all in if they don't kill you before that. This is going to be like a really hard-hitting one. Now, this Overlord, it's near this high ground. It needs to get over on top of this beautiful little tiger doggo. Is it a doggo? It's a doggo with a spiked collar. Is it this doggo statue? That's the high ground where it can hide from the Marines. Oh my god! Okay, he does see a glimmer. Go to Mackintac's camera. He hasn't noticed it till now. He's got to get that Overlord back. Okay, he goes back. He instantly drops a spine crawler. The Overlord, I think... Oh no, the Overlord did not make it to the doggo statue. It does go down, and spine crawler, Zerglings, Queen's on the way. Building an extra Overlord. So this is, yeah, I mean, he's going to have a spine up pretty fast. He's got to keep that spine alive. Those Marines from Dolan, he wants to click on the spine, and he hasn't pulled drones down. Okay, there we go. Those drones are a little bit late to the party here, and his Lings are out front. The Lings are the damage, but they're going down already. Those Lings going down, that was not well timed out. I mean, Mackintac's taking so many losses. He's going to buy time for the spine, but oh, he may have committed a little bit too much. That being said, he's kept most of his drones alive, a few of them very low on hit points. Now, this hatch taking a lot of damage, but Ling speed will be done soon. I'd love to see him put back on gas and try to go for a Baneling Nest in the main. The thing is, like I said, guys, he doesn't know this is a 4-racks. So he's reacting as if it's a 2-racks, and he wants to keep the hatch alive, and he's worried about the transition, where he should not be. Those Marines go in, get another drone, they get the Queen as well. Mackintac's taking big damage. Oh my god, he has no idea. He's building drones. He has no idea how committed this is. At some point, this is going to dawn on him that this is a huge commitment, but this Marines might have gone too deep for Dolan. This is like about as YOLO as you could go with this push. Oh, Zergling misrally does cut in there. These drones need to get out of there. The drones desperately trying to get out of that choke point. One goes down, and oh, the Marines cutting him off. The Marines are cutting them off. The Lings are going to try and surround here, but look at that. The Marines wedge themselves in a gap here. The drones try to fight. The drones do a little bit of damage. The Lings do get a surround. They do clean that up, but there's a lot more Marines coming in. 12 SCVs versus 13 drones here. That's not a lot of economy. The Queen out front, but the Lings are going to get the surround. The Queen did a great job of tanking, dishing out some damage. A nice surround. Dolan's done. Dolan's done. He overcommitted there. He overcommitted with his first round and then his second round as well. He was diving deep. He doesn't have an orbital. No orbital. That means no mule, guys. You might say 12 SCVs isn't too bad because there's mules. No. This was all in. This is the version where, funnily enough, he's choosing to not pull SCVs because he just wants to keep up non-stop Marine production. But now there's a spine at the front. If that second spine gets up, he's in trouble. We might see the Marines kind of come around the north, try to click on the spine, take 1 or 2 spine hits, pull back. You cannot let that spine get up or you're not going to break through there ever. So yeah, Dolan's thinking about it and he's going to go for it. But I think with the Lings here as well, yeah, even though he gets out of range of the spine, Dolan's done. The 4X does not work. And a psychotic opening for Dolan does not pay off. Now, this is one of the great ways to open a series to throw your opponent off. If that works, you look like a genius. If it gets held, to the untrained eye, it looks like you're a dummy. But, I mean, this is part of the risks that you take. And honestly, every single Terran champion, who, especially the most dominant ones, not the one-off champions, they have always mixed proxy barracks rushes and these sort of like very kind of all-in cheeses. Maybe 1 in 3, 1 in 4 games through their most dominant runs. And it's usually their ability to swap between the most insane all-in and very, very strong macro play that allows them to be so damned powerful. So damned powerful. So I think that's just something where I always pay it respect in terms of the strategic choice. The execution, though, was not perfect, right? Personally, I've always preferred the 3 racks version where and pulling the SCVs and trying to build bunkers and stuff. I feel like he kind of pushes in quite late with that version where he tries to hide it. He did try to hide it, right? Like he was like, no, we're gonna wait for a few Marines, try to get the Overlord, then go in. And that gives up the chance to build bunkers on the front. Whereas when I proxy racks, I'm always a fan of getting bunkers started in range of that hatchery and forcing those drones off the minerals real early to come down. And even if you can't force the bunker to get up, but you can force them to pull a ton of drones, pick off a few of them. And if you're careful, you shouldn't really lose any Marines against that. So I don't know. I feel like Dolan's version was a little bit more just kind of like, hey, all in, let's go. And of course did not work out, but he's got another shot here. I hope he does go for a more balanced build order. We don't want to see him go down 0-2 doing that twice in a row. Up here in the top left, representing Psystorm Gaming, it is Dolan. Trollin' for Dolan. Down here in the bottom right, representing 1F Pro, it's Mackintac. So what rhymes with Mackintac, guys? Spam this stim pack to help Mackintac. Are there any emotes of like a needle? Twitch would probably be like, no, that promotes drug use or something, right? I think I had, I tried to submit years ago a picture of like a blunt and they were just like, no, promoting drug use. And I was like, that's a shame. So I don't know. Is there a Stimpack emote? I don't know. I'm sure Twitch chat will find something. As for Dolan, spam this Rollin'. Spam this colon. Oh no. Okay, that came out of my... I was literally just saying letters with Olin on the end. Like I was gonna go through the whole alphabet and then I accidentally said that. Jesus Christ. Okay, wow. Freudian slip? Mackintac gonna be going hatch gas pool again. Zero fear from the Zerg player. He's like, dude, I crushed it. There is no reason for me to adjust my build. I can do the exact same thing. Dolan though, gonna be going for a barracks gas Reaper expand. SCV comes across, just checks the hatchery, says, attach first, don't need to scout anything else, and goes home. It's gonna be putting that command center down nice and early, and it's gonna be a much closer game there. Dolan is currently a 6k MMR player, according to the Woo spot. So he has a couple hundred MMR lead over Mackintac on the ladder right now, but for anyone who knows stats, one of the best Protoss players in the world, BlizzCon runner-up from last year, has been, the winner of many tournaments, the runner-up of many tournaments, one of the players who challenged Serral multiple times last year, didn't come out on top, but took games off him consistently. Stats is known as a player who actually is not that high on the Korean ladder. You will have people like Innovation and Maru consistently much higher than him on the ladder, but when it comes to tournaments, they all say they really struggle to show their same level that they do on the ladder. They struggle with their hands to play as, you know, confidently and fast, and they all actually talk about how they envy Stats' hands. They're like, his ability under pressure to play even better than normal. They feel like most of them play 300 MMR worse at LAN, and he plays 400-500 MMR better at LAN. And I feel like, you know, this is something you got to appreciate, that any player can just switch it on at one moment, and you can be a little bit shaky in your game. So as much as Dolan probably expects to beat Mackintac, it's something where you kind of say, yeah, I'm favored, but it's not a gimme. It's not a freebie. It's something you got to work for. Absolutely here. So I'm keeping my eye on that. So a single Marine is out. Tech Lab does go down on the starport, and it's when this starport finishes, we're going to find out a lot about Dolan's intentions. Does a Viking queue up, a medevac, or does it swap? That's the fusion core. Battlecruiser opening, friends. I would like to see a Viking queue up before the Battlecruiser comes out. But basically, Battlecruiser, it could be ranged lib, and this is actually a pretty good map for it. You got dead space behind this mineral line where you can siege up. You've got, that spot's not very good, but this spot is fantastic. You can siege there and you can siege there. So ranged libs is technically an option, but I would expect Battlecruiser. It's the meta play, and King's Cove is the only map where I would argue ranged lib is actually better. Because it's just got so many good positions. No Viking at all. So he's just like, nah, I want to spend my money on non-stop Hellion production and the Battlecruiser so I can pair up this pressure. And there's a really good build where you actually go and hit with 8 Hellbats. So you run 4 into the natural from this angle and 4 into the third while the Battlecruiser blinks in the main. And the Zerg kind of has to just split their stuff in so many angles. It's hard to get the Banelings or Roaches onto all of the Hellbats and defend all the drones. It's hard to get the Queens in the right position. Now, Mackintac's opened up Overlord speed, so he should see what's going on. But this is a terribly placed Overlord path. Thank God he microed that to check. He sees the fusion core, so he's got time to respond. The problem with this opening for Mackintac is his Queen count's not as high as it could be. He's only at 5 Queens. He's queuing up 2 more. And whilst he's queuing spores, he doesn't actually have a lot of minerals. He's only at 42 drones because he spent the money on that Overlord speed and Ling speed. 2 upgrades very early, which it turns out, you know, he's not getting that much value out of. So Mackintac has to race towards saturating this mineral line to make up for all this mineral cost. Now, I actually really hate these Spore Crawler placements. I think they're really bad. And I would love to debate players. I think building 2 spores in a mineral line covers you from BCs. I think if you build 2 spores like that, a BC can just float there. Okay, let's add a 3rd spore. BC can still float there and still hit most of your mineral line. This is just, I feel like you always, this spore leaves the whole mineral line open. I feel like you really want to be a little bit more just conservative with that Spore Crawler placement. I think you're hoping for too much when you go for these spores. Now, obviously Dolan blinked right in the back. He's going to kind of go, oh, what the hell? Okay, you're super prepared. But the thing is that BC can just float out, float around, keep looking for overlords, looking for angles, and you've committed to a lot of spores. So I'm not a fan of that positioning, but so far the defense has been good. Good Hellion micro though. The creep though is going to survive, and that's very important. BC's going to start zoning. It's a Yamato cannon follow-up, so Dolan looks like he wants to probably play Battle Mech behind this. Pretty rare to see bio if you're still committing to Hellions and the Yamato cannon upgrade this late into the game. It's 6 minutes, guys. 3rd CC is on the way. So Dolan does want to transition, but yeah, the Battlecruiser is going to come back in. And like I said, there is a sweet spot there, guys. He hasn't realized about it just yet, but he will find at least a few Maynarding drones. That Queen needs to pull back. She's got to get out of there. Uh-oh. He can hold position it. That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. Yeah, he's found it. That's what I was talking about. You've invested 3 spores and you're still not covering your mineral line. Not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah. Wanted to zone out the Battlecruiser completely and ends up getting punished really, really hard for it. A second Battlecruiser blinks in the 3rd. There's no spores on the 3rd. So the Queens are going to have to go fight that. That BC not being microed. It should be bailing out of there. The Queens all stuck behind each other though, so it's kind of working out. Hellions dive in. They do get surrounded. This Battlecruiser floats out. This BC is going to fly out as well, but the damage piling up. And Mackintac now massively behind. Has a 4th hatch on the way. If he can get that finished, that'll be big. The BC is already going to start dishing out a lot of hurt onto it. This Battlecruiser ready to come back in and cut off rallying drones. Look for those sweet spots again. He's actually just going to try and focus down this 4th base. I don't think he'll get it. The Queens are there. Oh, double Yamato. He's going to commit. Oh my God. He's going to get it. Oh my god, no cancel as well. Mackintac, no! Behind this, third command center's landing. We've got second and third factory rolling, double mech upgrades. Battlecruiser production is not stopping. He's gonna keep building battlecruisers, but he's got the Cyclones on the way. Have we got Magfield done? No Magfield or Blue Flame just yet. He's focusing on getting the fourth and fifth factory up first. I like that choice. I think it's more important to actually get a bunch of Cyclones out than it is to get the Magfield, especially in this scenario, because all he's seen is Queens, Zerglings, Banelings. None of those are armored units. Magfield only gives you bonus damage to armored, so it's important against Roach players. It is important against Ultralisks. It is not important against a Lingbane Hydra Queen player like Mackintac. Now, Mackintac's not dead, guys. He took a lot of damage. It was a bad opening, but you've got to remember that against this sort of mobile battle mech style, if you can get to 85 drones, spread your creep, and just survive long enough, at some point there is always the chance to just wreck a ground army with some good Baneling hits, maybe a good Baneling flank, and just kind of be back in the game. The problem is, right now we have very little anti-air damage against 3 battle cruisers. Now, the Queens are going to offer some defense, but bam, you Yamato cannon 3 of those, they're gone. Suddenly you're down to not that many Queens, a lot of which are allocated to injecting duty back in the main base. Hydras are kind of like throwing wet noodles at your opponent when it comes to trying to counter battle cruisers. You're like, what are you doing, dude? You're gonna slap me with some fucking spaghetti? It just doesn't do anything. So the battle cruisers are gonna come down here. They're gonna try to click on these hatcheries. A couple of Yamato's gonna go down. That one's still on cooldown. 3 Queens do go down nonetheless, and you can see just how hard it is to get rid of these battle cruisers. They create such a problem, and delaying this fourth base getting saturated. That's what I was talking about. You need 85 drones here. Another Yamato goes down, and oh my god, the Queens aren't even enough. Yeah, no Corruptors here. Like, there's Vipers. They can't attack air units. I mean, they can abduct, but the battle cruisers are already diving deep. This one ready to teleport, does teleport out of there before it goes down. And I think Mackintac, he's just under the gun. Dolan just smashing through here with some very powerful play, and it's doing really, really nicely so far. Look at the units lost tab, guys. Look at the units lost tab. Oh my god, the units lost tab is disgusting! Oh no. Oh no. That Ready Point Battlecruiser is 33 kills. He's a goddamn 5-star general. Oh my gosh, the drones lining up. Hellbat's morphing. And Dolan says, you know what? Maybe I don't need to build 4 barracks outside your base to win the video game. Battlecruiser's pretty good. So I like to add a little bit of educational stuff for the people out there, because usually when I cast these games, game like that happens, I look at chat. Obviously there's a 3-minute delay, so I'm not gonna say it for a few minutes. People are going, battlecruisers are just, how do you stop them? So let's answer that question. 2 spores in the main base, in the mineral line. 2 spores in the third base, in the mineral line. And if you really want, you can put 2 spores in the natural. But the reason why you don't in the natural is because that's a central location. Your Queens can very easily get to that base to defend it. If a battlecruiser goes there, pull the drones off mining, get the Queens on it, put the drones back to mining. You can get away with a single spore. But you want those edge bases where the battlecruiser can kind of come in, do damage, get out. You want those to have 2 spores at each one. I also like to then allocate a second Queen in the main. So if you keep 2 Queens behind the spore crawlers, so they're kind of shooting the battlecruiser, and whenever the battlecruiser goes towards them, you pull them behind the spores so that they're just adding a little bit more range damage. A spore plus 2 Queens shooting a battlecruiser will kick it out of your base relatively quickly. But because he didn't place those spores very well, I feel like Mackintac kind of was hoping to completely zone out the BC, and it went well against the first teleport. But we saw what happened when that BC came back around. It got in there, the Hellions drained down most of the Lings and Banes. The second BC came in and there was no spore on the third. And we saw that basically Mackintac was doing a very common Zerg thing, which is he tried to really, really, really hard counter the very first wave and then be really greedy behind it. And we saw that that did not work at all. So the reason I dislike those OV speed openings is I feel you need to have next level reactions where you perfectly defend off your scouting information. We saw there, had the information, didn't perfectly defend, got absolutely ravaged. Up here, game number 3, it's King's Cove. We're going into the deciding match. This is a pretty epic match for first round, to be honest, guys. In the top left, in the teal, representing Psystorm Gaming, it's Dolan. Down here in the bottom right, in the red, the Terran, the Zerg player, representing 1F Pro, it's Mackintac. people were discussing earlier, indeed, Blue Flame gives you a big bonus to light. It helps you against Zerglings and Hydralisks. It does not help you against Banelings because they are not light nor armored. It does not help you against Queens because they are also not light nor armored. Queens are psionic. Banelings are... Do Banelings even have a unit type? I'm pretty sure Banelings aren't light, are they psionic as well? I don't think so. I think Banelings are just a nothing unit type. If we get Banelings in this game, I'll click on one and I'll let you guys know. I'm sure someone knows every unit type. Basically, Banelings don't take bonus damage from anything, but they're relatively fragile anyway. So Blue Flame's just really good for roasting large numbers of lings. Obviously good for drones as well. But a lot of the time it's such an expensive upgrade. People get really obsessed with it. Like, but oh, you're building Hellions, you gotta get it. Probably just you need a tech lab for it. It's a very expensive upgrade to commit to. You usually don't add it until the mid game, unless you're doing a very specific play. But for you, I will play very specifically. The TLO, that's something I'm gonna miss. The German dungeon porn voice and the TLO voice. God damn it! I'm just getting into these casts and then. Yeah. Anyways, Reaper's gonna go down. So many good memes, man. So many good memes. Mackintac here. He's gonna go for the fast third. Now, I'm actually wondering, is he gonna cut drones for this? Or is he just gonna hide it again? He's hoping Dolan doesn't leave the Reaper here. Because he's droning. He wants to go a 32 hatch. But no, Dolan knows he does this. So Dolan checks for it. Yeah. Well played. Very nicely done by Dolan. And now Mackintac has to go third Queen, third Overlord before taking the third. If he forgets that, his opening is going to be really bad. He still hasn't queued up his third Overlord. Does queue up the third Queen. Where's the Overlord? Don't get distracted by the Reaper. There we go. Third Overlord. Yeah, that one does start. If that Overlord doesn't start, you hit a really rough 36 supply block. And because your third isn't started, it's like twice as bad. Already, Mackintac's in this kind of awkward position now where he's got to get the third up. And he can't? Has he put back on gas? You gotta send a drone over there. Okay, he's gonna wait for the Queen to kind of try and get it up. I like Dolan's commitment here, yeah. The problem for Dolan is this is a little risky because you haven't actually really checked the drone count or anything. Mackintac could be pretending he wants a third. Oh, Dolan took a few too many hits here. This is a dangerous dance. He's gonna lose the Reaper now. Yeah, get out of there. Worth saving it. I think the Lings are gonna take it out actually. Dolan does lose the Reaper. Back at home, Hellion opening once again. Fusion Core goes down. This is my favorite opening at the moment as well. I think it's really good. Notice this Marine has bullied the Overlord back to that pillar. It's hiding. This is what we call a pervert pillar. It's basically an area specifically designed for a unit which its only function is to watch. And it can sit there. It's kind of like the bushes, which you sit with your binocs having a bit of a perv. So it's the pervert pillar. There's another pervert pillar here. Map makers are very kind with putting pervert pillars above the opponent's natural expansions usually. But the moment a Viking comes out or anything, obviously that is no longer a safe place. That's like, any flying unit is essentially the neighborhood watch of the Terran. And at that point, the weird perverts in the bushes wearing the trench coats with nothing underneath it will end up getting absolutely savaged. What have we got, guys? Overlord speed, Baneling Nest, spores? Overlord speed again. It's not a very fast Overlord speed, so I kind of like it because he's not rushing it, so it's not hurting his economy as much. Problem is, this Overlord's going to go down pretty quickly, and he's going to have very little time to prepare against that battlecruiser. Oh, floating barracks comes down. That's the anti-pervert. That's the neighborhood watch right there. Yeah, this Overlord's already very heavily bruised. He's not going to get scouting very quickly, and he's trying to completely skip spores off very little scouting info. Like, Liberators could be coming in. A Banshee could have hit him already. Mackintac playing very greedy. This is like a very meta kind of NA build here. Mackintac's a very good player, guys, but he's definitely, I don't know if he's playing to the opponent or to the current meta. We see the Fusion Core dancing up there, and he immediately knows that there is a battlecruiser opening on the way. Now, once again, this is the worst spore crawler placement, guys. This is so expensive. 4 spores, and the natural's wide open, especially on this map. This is a terrible choice by Mackintac. Oh, he's just been traumatized by the battlecruisers. This is real unfortunate. I mean, we've seen so much battlecruisers in the last few months, but I think a lot of Zergs just have not figured out how to deal with this, and I think they're making some really poor choices on how to deal with it. Already a lot of drones going down. He's already ruined his own economy by building like 8 spore crawlers, which is damage enough. The battlecruiser, though, He's getting killed. Hellions getting a bit surrounded there. That battlecruiser taking way too much damage. Did let that take a bit more than you would like. Nonetheless, it's still an awesome start. The Lings, though, good micro from the Lings from Mackintac. He's been pulling them back, but oh, and in one, as I say, good control from the Lings. They all stack up trying to go through a narrow choke point, and now it's a Hellion party. Oh, more Lings popping, just barely. They will save. Otherwise, like 8 more drones would have gone down in the next 10 seconds. Good timing on those Lings. Nonetheless, though, Overlord's getting picked off here. 38 drones to 50. Yeah, I cannot get behind Mackintac's opening, guys. I think there's two things. The opening, I'm not the biggest fan, but I could get behind it. Let's be, you know what? I think the opening's fine. I honestly think it's just the spore crawlers are not correct. I think he's, on this map especially, you've just got to go 2 spores in each mineral line because all your bases are exposed. There's so much dead space for battle cruisers. They can pick any angle to attack from. Oh no! Oh God. That's like watching a cow rock up to your barbecue and you're like, holy crap, why is the cow in my backyard? And the cow just looks at you, smiles, and then jumps onto the barbecue and you're like, holy shit. And he's like, make me into steak. That's kind of what happened with Zerglings there. They were just like, yeah, we will toss ourselves into the nice little narrow choke point. You want some Zergling skewers? It'll be tasty. This game should be over, but let's talk about what Mackintac can do to win from here. He's going Hydra Den and an Infestation Pit. So I think he's going to rush Vipers again. I don't think that's the right call. Creep Spread and Banelings defend Cyclones. But I think he's trying to rush Vipers to deal with the Cyclones. And I think more than anything, Mackintac needs to hold down that drone key, hold down that Overlord key, and just get 4 mineral lines going. If he can get 4 mineral lines going, and just enough Hydras underneath for now, that should probably all he focuses on. That could work. Okay, he's gonna go Infestors. All right, yeah, that can work. A couple of Banelings. He'll need 10 Banelings when the fight happens, and he just needs as many Queens and Hydras as possible. The problem with Queens is that they are just perfect targets for Yamato. So Dolan can just kind of go, hey, bam, bam, and it's such an efficient use of Yamato killing the Queen. I like that Dolan's just kind of like, he's just like, hey, build not drones. Not the best scan. Does miss the frontal creep tumors. Getting a little bit greedy with that. So he's going to cut a small hole, but it won't really be effective because he doesn't take off the front line of active tumors. But he's going to cancel the 4th. That's all he needed. And yeah, still no Banelings here. He's got to make some Banelings. Queen's starting to fall here. Transfuse, transfuse, transfuse. Nice transfuses going down, but the Banelings aren't here, so the Hellbat's taking it down. And yeah, this is not enough units. Mackintac's pretty dead, guys. Thought this would be a much closer match, but we see that it looks like battle cruisers happen to be the spicy special sauce that Mackintac cannot handle. Mackintac was raised a white boy at his core, and he does not like that hot sauce. He's like, oh, there's too much pepper in my hamburger. It's spicy. Meanwhile, Dolan's just pouring Tabasco all over his Zerg opponent. He's one of those people who like shakes someone's hand with Tabasco on his hand, and then the other person wipes their eye not realizing it, and they're like, what the shit? AKA battle cruisers are good in analogy form is what I'm trying to say there. But bad spore crawler placement. Mackintac's got to work on his defense there. Definitely looked like a bit of PTSD for, you know, or kind of like bad experiences coming through where he was so obsessed with the battle cruiser in the main, he wasn't covering the other bases. And I really feel like 2 spores in the mineral lines does so much more than that. A lot of players get freaked out because they say, well, if they're in the mineral line, the problem is the battle cruiser flies in, picks off some drones. You've got to pull your drones away. So there is micro required, but the battle cruiser is such an expensive harassment. It's totally fair that you pull your drones away when that battle cruiser flies in. It takes damage and you'll be fine. But Mackintac there, you know, investing so much in Overlord speed and struggling a little bit, was not able to do it. So Dolan is going to continue through to the next round. We are